Hi guys, me Cheng Ho from 88 PetSmart. So today we're not at the shop. If you realize, this is actually my home because we're gonna do something special over here. I'm gonna need more concentration and I can't handle all the stuff that come to my shop, customer and my staff asking me stuff. So this is gonna take long because actually I'm going to go through process of guidance of create a guidance video for planet tank setup for anyone. I mean, anyone means that people that even this is the first aquarium they ever have, and so I'm going to go through it A to Z, everything, cover any minor details as much as possible. If you guys have some more questions, you can ask in the comment below. So this is a 35 cm aquarium, a nano tanks, which is very popular in Malaysia, especially among the new beginner. So which is why I'm choosing this aquarium size. Secondly, it doesn't have space in my house. I have a tiny house, so this doesn't take much space, and I also have a stool ready at my house that actually just the right size for this aquarium. So I'm gonna go through everything from the basic ingredients and also especially the decoration parts as well, because I noticed that a lot of it might be easy for us that have some experience in fish keeping, but for new guys that come into the aquarium first time and going through setting up a plant tank, the decoration part might be too much for them, and that's why I'm going to set up the guide for this. The guide should be good enough for aquarium that's up to like maybe 50 cm or below. Larger than that, it might not help at all. The decoration part will be some basic one, but it will look nice, so it can be learned by anyone. Yeah, so with that being said, let's get started. Other than the aquarium, I have my filter here, and also I bring in a siphon, we will need later on, some cotton for the mechanics filter, and as for the filtration, I also have some chemical filter. This particular filter, the hang-on filter that I bring back here, doesn't come with the chemical filter, so I have the Continuum Aquatics Basis Power Cleanse XL. So this one works more or same like carbon, but slightly different. I'll go through it later on when we go into the filter parts. And also some chemical. Of course, you're gonna need some anti-chlorine. Any aquarium keeper will need anti-chlorine to remove the chlorine from the tap water so that life could start in the aquarium. So this is the Continuum Aquatics Fractions, a very good brand for anti-chlorine, but you can go with other brands as well, like the Seachem Prime or Aquavit Premium. And also you will need some bacteria. For this, I have Continuum Aquatics Bacter Gen F. You can go with Seachem Stability and other brands, but I will highly recommend either you get the Stability or the Aquavit one or the Continuum Aquatics. So this is a very good brand. I have also been using this for quite a while and noticed the Continuum Aquatics is a very good brand. It's new in Malaysia, but most of them work very well, so I'm going to be using this. And because you're going to be notice that I'm using a lot of Continuum Aquatics chemicals over in the tanks. That's because I got a sample that's given me by a supplier. I'm not going to waste them. And also this you might or might not need is chemical that clear the water out, because when you start the aquarium there will be a lot of floating debris to make the aquarium cloudy, and it might be very difficult for your filter to filter because they are so tiny. So this thing actually come them together and make the to let the filter filter up easier. So this is a Continuum Aquatic Flora VIP Claron F. Again, you can use other brands if you prefer. I also bring back some fertilizer, which sure doesn't need now, but anyway, it's a Continuum Aquatics Flora VIP. This is a multi all-in-one fertilizer for plants. They already contain potassium, boron, iron, calcium, and everything microbes that you ever need in the aquarium, except for nitrogen and phosphate, which is also very good because it doesn't need them now. Actually, it doesn't need most of them now. I'm gonna go through it later on, but I mean just put it over here first, and it has some rocks and some substrate as well. Alright, now we're going to start with the substrate first. There's many methods out there. Some of them would want you to put some stones that house bacteria, crushed carbon, general hardness powder inside there. But anyway, the basic one, this is the basic one that everyone needs, so I'm going to tell you that all you need is actually the soil itself, only on the substrate. Either soil or some clay that you use, depends on the brand, but you only need the one substrate. It doesn't need all the extra thing. If you have your budget, you can put in all the extra, there's no harm, but the basic one is soil that you need. And also before I start, also you have to remember that if you're using a hang-on filter, you make sure you doesn't put the tank too close to the wall, because the hang-on filter going to take some space. Even with the canister filter, you might also get some space for the hose to go back. For this tank, we are going to use this soil over here. There's no packaging, but this is actually the fluval stratum. It's actually very good soil. If you're in the market looking for substrate for plant aquarium that's not too expensive and with good quality, this is the one that I would highly recommend, the fluval stratum. They are very good quality, highly affordable. I mean, not the cheapest one to you can't compete with the price for those China brand one, but this very good quality soil. It's even better than many brands that's more expensive compared to them. You should definitely consider this before you start. If you have a little bit more budget, you might want to go for, let's say, the Seachem fluoride. Those are very good substrate as well, but they work completely different. I'll go through it later on. So you can actually have this inside here only and start the aquarium already. It doesn't need some multi-layer things, but if you want, you can do that. For this tank, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to add in a pack of this. This is actually the Seachem. I'm going to add one pack of this. This is actually the Seachem Onyx Sand. It's actually helped to maintain a balanced pH level. This thing will release alkalinity into the aquarium to prevent the aquarium from being too acidic, because from my experience, especially with nano tank using hand-on filter, after some period of time, the aquarium will become very acidic, and that causes a lot of problems. Some plants will melt and doesn't grow well, and also it will also cause the growth of black brush algae. So this one will prevent that from happening. I'm going to put this one at the most bottom layer, and then only I'm going to introduce the fluval stratum. I have this already pre-washed, so I can use it right away. But if you get this one yourself, you make sure you clean it well, because they are quite dusty. You would definitely regret it if you didn't clean it before using them. Let's put it inside here. If you have some spade that they are made to lay out the substrate, but I forgot to bring back my one, which means I'm gonna need to use my hand. Put this one aside first. Okay. So you can just lay it flat, or you can try to have it just in the middle of the tank. So when you fill up with the soil later on, it won't show the two layer. If you prefer it to show two layer, you can do that. But if you don't want, you can try to push them out, I think around 1 cm from the edge of the aquarium, so they won't show later on, just like how I'm doing here. If you have the layout spade, it will be easier to work with, or else if you don't have it, it's okay. You can still use your hand. It's not that difficult anyway. So this is how the aquarium gonna look like with the Seachem Onyx Sand. So as you can see, I try to push the sand cm away from the edge of the aquarium, so it won't show up later on when I add in the soil into the tank. So yeah, it's not very thick. You only need a bit of it, just around maybe a cm of thickness. For this 35 cm aquarium, I have around a kilo of it, but of course it doesn't sell them in a small quantity. So if you are considering having the Seachem Onyx Sand in your tank, you might also consider the amount that you're going to spend on it. It's not very cheap. I think the smallest package is 33.5 kilogram, and it costs around, I think around 70 ringgit or something like that. So it's not cheap. And yeah, if you have the budget, I highly recommend it. It will cut you a lot of trouble later on when for long run. But if you don't have, maybe you can just skip it first, and later you might want to rely on something else to help to maintain your aquarium pH. So yeah, now we're gonna add in the fluval stratum. Yeah, the reason I doesn't have the one with the original label on it, because the stratum actually already been sold out in Malaysia. The supplier gonna bring it in 2 weeks time, I believe. So this is the repacked one. Because the Stratrum in Malaysia, we only get it in 8 kilogram. So it's a bit big, and some people like going to start a small tank like this, they're not going to need 8 kg. This is the 4 kg bag that I loosely packed to sell for those people that need a smaller pack. The 8 kg one, I think costs around 90 something, definitely less than 100 ringgit. This one is going for 59.90, so it's very affordable for this quality of soy. It's very good quality soy. So let's open this up first. So you can just pour the soy into the tank like so. You're gonna need around a thickness of maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches of thickness. It can't be too thin. If it's too thin, then there won't be enough space for the roots to grow. So you can like make the background thicker than the front, like many guides show, but it's not necessary because after some times it will eventually flatten it out as well. You might as well make it flat just anyway. So it doesn't need to pour everything that you need into the tank first. You might want to hold back a bit because you're gonna make space for the rocks, and after you introduce the hardscape, the rocks, or you will might also need to add in some soil again. So just make it like an inch or slightly more than an inch first before we add in some extra. So if you have the escaping space, it will be very easier to flatten out the tank. If not, you can use your hand, not difficult, but yeah. So this is slightly more than an inch, which is actually not enough yet, but we're gonna hold back. We're gonna put the rest of it inside there after we do the skipping. So I'm gonna go back and talk a bit more about substrate here. So generally there's two major substrates in the market. One is the actual soil that have been processed and made into the kibbles or pebbles like. So you can use it in your tank. In this particular one, the flower stratum is made in Japan. It's from the Mount Aso, the volcano in Japan. So it's a soil from there, and process and make it so that it won't like make your aquarium all cloudy. If you put in soil in the aquarium, normal soil, the aquarium will be very cloudy and will not fill up. So this is a processed one. And another one is something like the clay, like the sea champs fluoride. They use clay. So the difference is that this one, they already contain a lot of micronutrients or fertilizer that the plants will need, and it will actually adjust the aquarium pH as well, make it slightly acidic or way as too acidic, depends on the brand that you choose. And the fluoride one, it doesn't contain any nutrients at all, they just go into the tank, and they're actually made to absorb nutrients into them. So if you use the fluoride one, they will absorb the nutrients that you those into the tank. Let's say the fertilizer over here, when I put it in, the fluoride actually will absorb it into itself, and then the roots from the plants will draw the nutrients from the fluoride, which also means that it have a longer lifespan than the soil. Where the soil one, they will slowly release the nutrients to the tank, and eventually there will be none left in them. And also the soil one, after some time, depends on the brand, the lifespan is a bit different. The soil one, they will slowly break apart, but in the end of the day, a good soil will last for around 4 or 5 years, and you might be starting to struggle with your tank, and you will be thinking about skipping it. But it's not bad lifespan per se for like 4 or 5 years squatting is very tired. I'll just sit down. I'm a bit lower. Do you see me? Okay. It's not bad for 4 or 5 years. I mean, after 4 or 5 years, many aquariums actually rescape their tank like 2 or 3 years. The good thing about having an aquascape tank is that you can rescape it and make your tank anew again. So the fluoride one, it actually will get more nutrients when the longer you use it. And if you want to reuse it, when you want to rescape it, you can actually take them out, clean them, and you'll be able to reuse it. As for the soil, you can't do that because you can't clean them. If you clean them, they will break apart. But yeah, you can see just now I didn't clean the soil at all. I just cleaned the sea-chem onyx sand only. Either way, that two are mostly gonna work the same, but the main difference I find is that in the beginning of the tank, so the hardest part in keeping aquascape, I think, should be the first 1-2 months of it. And because during that time the plant is turning and adapting into the aquatic environment, and which means they're very vulnerable. So if you have a soil tank that's a soil-based tank that constantly releasing soil nutrients into water, the nutrients might get too much and cause algae to grow on the plants, and also the water will sometimes get too acidic, which is not good for the plants. Whereas using the fluoride one, you can control how much nutrient into the tank because the fluoride doesn't have any nutrients in them. It depends on how much you dose inside them, and when you dose inside them, and actually absorb to the substrate, which is where the nutrients should, most of them should be, like the soil that should contain in the soil. I mean, the water will need some nutrients, but most of them the plants get from the soil, whereas algae will get them from the water. But the good thing is, I've developed a method. This method I found myself. There's a lot of methods to start the planting tank, but I find this is the easiest to counteract with the extra nutrients that get into the aquarium when you start up with soil. So after you start with the soil tank, you doesn't want to put any plants at there yet. You will only run the filter, and then you will change the aquarium water as much as possible. That will slowly deplete the nutrients that leak into the tank. So you would want to do it like half a tank or slightly more than half a tank once a day or 2 days once, but you have to do it multiple times in order for it to work. Also depends on what soil that you use as well. And another reason that you want to change all of it, because if you change all of it, you have a problem adding water back into the aquarium later on, which I will go through it. I'll tell later on. Whereas with the fluoride, when you are using fluoride, you can actually right away introduce the plants to the aquarium on the first day. So for this one using soil, we are not going to introduce the plants that's why I didn't bring back any carbon dioxide system or cooling system or even lighting, because I'm not going to have plants inside there yet.